Hello and welcome to another episode of Invalid Entry. My name's James Taylor, and today it is the third day of Advent, and that means we are going to add baubles to the Christmas tree. As you say, the bauble box is open here. Baubles are great. After lights, you put baubles on. That's simple. Yesterday there was some feedback from various people saying that the lights weren't programmatic, and they're not really programmatic. The light sequence is programmatic, but really it's just about blitting pre-rendered layers on. So the program today is to actually make baubles and make them a little bit more programmatic. I was going to have the baubles randomly placed, but I didn't want to do that because it would make the video much longer, and it means calculating some extra things. I also want to leave some room for some tinsel for later in the series. I'm not going to be focused on this tree every single day, don't worry. So I was going to show you how we make baubles. The first thing that we do that's very important is we want to work out mass. So what I was going to do is I was going to generate a bauble background, and then I was going to generate a mask. So the first thing I did was to generate an image that looks like this. And this is the world's most boring bauble, but actually it's super important. And what is really important about it is the fact that this is going to be my mask, so it doesn't actually have any colour values itself apart from white and black and transparency. So each of these pixels on this display is actually 4 numbers. The first 3 numbers are the red, green and blue values, and if you have all of them set, you get white. If you have none of them set, you get black, and if you set somewhere else, you get some other colours in between. But the last value is the alpha value. So around the edge here, the alpha value is 0. And the reason this is important is what we're going to do is we're going to generate an image this big, which is 50 by 60, I believe. And then what we're going to do is we're going to multiply every single pixel in that layer by this mask, which means where it's white, and multiplying is a strange term, because you think if the value is 255 times by 255 isn't 255, it's a much larger number. Multiplying when you're doing pixel calculations is actually thinking of the number between 0 and 255 as a scale between 0 and 1. And when you're multiplying, you're getting a resultant error. So you're basically having as a fractional scale. So you say if it was 128 multiplied by 255, you get 128. And also, because I'm going min-max here, if it's 0, say here, you get 0, you get blackout. So you'll always have a black square, which is the hook the bauble's going on. This will be whatever colour we've generated in the background, and the outside will be no colour whatsoever, because the transparency, the alpha bit, will be multiplied down to 0. So we're going to use the multiply command to actually do it. So very quickly, I'm going to show you the function I'm going to make. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the initial setup, the enter screen, I'm going to generate my baubles. And then on the blitting, on the actual render loop, I'm just going to load those baubles that I've generated into the screen. This code is going to be available in a gist. Please see down in the description to have a link to it. There's reasons why I'm not checking into a code repo, mainly to do with copyright issues with the fonts and other assets I'm using. Half the assets I've drawn myself. But for the moment, these are just going to be in gist, because the code quality isn't very good. It is very hacky code. Make us all the magic variables I've got here. So first of all, I'm defining these baubles. Each bauble has it doesn't have the assets I'm generating. It has a location, just the top left. I am being a bit naughty because I'm mixing modes here. These were the center location. These are the top left. Consistency isn't great. So what we're doing is for bauble and baubles, we're going to actually make the bauble, which is going to do that generation of the bauble. So I've defined this function here called make bauble. I have a bauble factory, if you like, which basically is going to define a new surface. And what's important here is that the Pygame source alpha is set. So which means that each pixel has 4 integers, 0 to 255, 4 bytes basically, rather than 3 bytes. And that's really important. It's actually, the circle is 50 by 50, but that little square on the top is the extra 10 pixels. I also load the bauble mask in. I'm only going to load that in once because I'm going to use it every time round. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make a jazzy background, and then I'm going to blit the mask on top of that surface using this multiply. If I didn't have that multiply, what I ended up with was a box with the jazzy background behind it and the white and the square on top. So it's also important that we use RGBA multiply, not RGB multiply, to get that alpha layer, to get those to make it mask correctly. There aren't very many other ways of doing this fast in Pygame, I'm afraid, because I want a circle shape. You basically need to generate a mask. Now, I could have programmatically made this mask as well, but I didn't want to make that square box calculation at the top. It was just easier to do it statically. And because it's a static, once I've loaded it here, I don't really get that much benefit by having programmatically made it as opposed to doing the image load from the PNG. I could have anti-alias that circle a little bit more, so there's a little bit more alpha blending as it goes round, and that would have come across in the final image a little bit. Could also apply maybe shading to that circle so that bits are a bit darker than just pure white, and that would add a bit more of a 3D effect without doing any more probing whatsoever. So don't underestimate the power of a good mask and how this multiply could be used. As for the jazz, what we're going to do is we're going to have some primary colours and we're going to have some secondary colours. And you can see here, I used to have a green colour, but I realised a green bauble on a green tree wasn't a good idea. So the primary colours are going to be picked, and then we're going to pick one secondary colour. Now, the primary colour, pick the primary colour, fill the surface. That's going to make a square or a rectangle of that primary colour. What we're then going to do is pick a line colour. I'm also picking a few values. Now, the step size, we're going to make a zigzag line going across the page. Just like I was doing the heartbeat. So basically the idea is we're going to make a little bit of a segment, and they're all going to join together. So the step size is how much are there between the triangle pieces, and the height size is how much up and downness is to that. I didn't want it to be, I could have used random.int range and given it a range, but I thought no, I actually want to just have odd numbers on a few bigger numbers rather than have all the combinations in between. Random choice on the width as well, the width of the line I'm going to use. I actually find maybe 6 is a bit too wide, so maybe I'm going to bring that down there. Last then, my centre point. Now my centre point is 35 because the centre point of the circle will be 5 pixels further, or 10 pixels further down than if it was just a 50 by 50, because I've got that little box at the top, so I've got there. The last across, I'm also going to remember the coordinate I was at, last across and last height, and then I work out the next height and I draw a line between those 2 points, and then what we do is we work out the next height and go down. So I'm going to use a flag for true, where true tells me if I'm up or whether I'm down. It's a bit like the Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. When they were up, and when they were down, they were down. And I don't care about anything else because I'm just going up and down, draw lines in between, and let Pygame work out all the pixels in between. Now, you can do anti-aliasing on your lines if you really want to. Again, I don't really care this size. It's going to come out nicely. So basically, you work out the new across, which is just the standard step size increasing, and you work out the new height. It's either going to be up or down, depending on what the last one is, and then you flip the flag back and forth. Draw the line from the last place to the new place. Set your last place to being the new place. Go around the loop until you reach the far side. Again, hard-coded numbers, always good to have a magic number coded in. And then you return that surface, and those are going to be called once. In the actual blit, again, what we're going to do is for bauble and baubles, blit the asset into the correct position on the tree, so there's always that many baubles and they're always in the right place. Okay, so when we run this, what we should do, if I have my terminals open, when this runs, just thinking about it. My computer's running a little bit slow today. Apologies, I've been having some very weird issues today. A quick reboot and everything's fine. So as you can see here, as I was saying, the baubles, they go up and down, up and down. They always go on that downstroke first. So the thickness changes every time. The colours change. We've got purple, purple, blue. If I just come out of that and go back in, close that window. You can see it's red, red, purple. It's changed. The delta's different. It just gives that bit of dynamicness. So these are now fully generated by the code. You can also see that where it does clip on the edge there, it is a nice round circle, and that's because of that masked layer. It's a very simple mod to do. It's a very simple thing to do programmatically. Don't try blitting it every time or generating it every time, because what you'll find you'd have to do is have to store the random calculations. Otherwise, you get psychedelic baubles flashing in your face. So I think also with the masking, you don't want to be blitting everything on layers and layers and layers. So generate them once, store them in a local cache, drop them in. That's the trick. And then this is a nice little addition to the Christmas tree. That's it for today. I'm going to now edit this together and put it out there. If you have any comments, please put them in the comment box below. Hit like, and yeah, tell your friends. Do something fun. Go out and be inspired. Build some Christmas things. Show me what you have built, and I will enjoy it. I will put the 2 functions I built. The make jazz. By the way, I'm very, very proud I got the function called make jazz. I was looking forward to today because I was going to get a function called jazz. Do jazz. It's a factory function. You just call it and jazz pulls out. It's a stripy line. You could do other things. You can make lines go across. It doesn't matter what you do in the background because, of course, you're going to blip the circle on top of it, which masks everything out nicely. That is today's Advent Calendar. I will see you all tomorrow.